The video you are about to watch will help you learn about common errors that students make in their writing. It is important to be aware of these errors so that we can avoid them. Sentence fragments. A sentence fragment occurs when the sentence is missing either the subject or the predicate, making it incomplete. Remember, the subject is who or what the sentence is about, and the predicate captures the action. For example, picked up the dog. Who or what picked up the dog? This sentence is confusing because it is missing an important piece of information. While we have the action, or predicate, we're missing the subject. In order to identify sentence fragments in your own writing, ask yourself, if someone read just that one sentence by itself, would it make sense to them? Or would they be missing important information to understand what the sentence is saying? We could fix this by saying, Bob picked up the dog, or she picked up the dog, or even a unicorn picked up the dog. As long as we have a subject to go with the predicate, your sentence will be complete. Run-on sentences. Run-on sentences contain more than one complete thought. They go on and on and on and on and on. This is the opposite of a sentence fragment, which doesn't give you enough information. Run-on sentences give you far too much information. They are too long and often contain more than one and. It would be better to break these long sentences up into a few shorter ones. For example, the boy ran for the ball and caught it and then jumped into the air for joy and the crowd cheered and his team won. Whew! Running out of breath there. Remember, periods are a signal that your reader is allowed to take a breath. If you find that it is difficult for you to say a sentence in one breath, you can be sure that it is probably a run-on sentence. If we divide this sentence into smaller ones, we end up with something like, the boy ran for the ball and caught it. He jumped into the air for joy and the crowd cheered. His team won. Choppy sentences. Choppy sentences are too short. There is definitely a time to use groups of these short sentences, especially if you are trying to create a certain effect on your reader, such as suspense. But if you use too many choppy sentences, it often sounds like a young child's writing. Choppy sentences are never really appropriate for formal writing, such as an essay or cover letter. You can fix this error by combining the short sentences into longer ones. For example, it was hot. She went to the store to buy eggs. She went to the store for butter. The butter melted. It melted everywhere. Reading these sentences out loud makes your mind frustrated. It's like trying to watch a short video online that keeps stopping to load. There's no flow. If we combine the sentences, it would sound more like, it was hot, but she went to the store to buy eggs, and then to another store for butter. Because it was so hot, the butter melted and went everywhere. Boring sentences. When you begin every sentence the same way, or with the same word, it is repetitive and boring. Your mind hates being bored, so make sure you try different types of sentences and use lots of different vocabulary. For example, these sentences all start with the same word and are all very similar. I was so happy that I finished my work. I ran down the hall. I smiled at everyone I met. I saw my teacher and showed him my work. I think he was almost as happy as I was. These couple of sentences could be so much more exciting if they were rewritten with different types of structure and language. I was so happy that I finished my work for the project that I ran down the hall when it was time to go home. Every person that I passed received the biggest smile. As I was leaving, I saw my teacher and proudly showed him my assignment. He gave me a loud high five, and I think he might have been almost as happy as me. Use of slang. Sometimes it is far too easy to write the way that we speak. When you are talking with friends, texting, or using social media, it is commonly accepted to use slang, short forms, and very casual language. These are all informal settings, so it makes sense to use informal communication. There are settings, however, where this is not acceptable. You would not and should not write an email to your boss the same way that you would text your best friends. Think of it like clothing. You wear casual clothing like jeans, sweatpants, t-shirts, and hoodies when you are in casual settings such as at the mall or a movie theater. When you're in more formal settings, like a wedding or a job interview, you dress differently, wearing a suit or a dress, for example. Just as with clothing, your writing should be different in formal and informal situations. In formal writing especially, you need to make sure your writing avoids casual language and grammatical issues caused by slang. Otherwise, it would be like wearing sweatpants and a grungy t-shirt to a very important job interview. Yikes. For example, if this sentence was in an essay, it would be inappropriate. Studying is important because, without it, we would basically bomb all of our tests or whatever. While the student may think in this style, you can understand what they are saying. It is still inappropriate. Translated into a more formal tone, this sentence would say, studying is important because without it, students would fail all of their tests, assignments, and classes. Remember not to be discouraged if you find yourself making many mistakes in your writing. Writing is truly a form of art, and even the most experienced writers are always trying to perfect their craft. These are just some of the common mistakes that students make, and making mistakes is one of the best ways we can learn and grow to be the best we can be.